Welcome to the Business 7 Show. My name is Sukhana Klache, and in this week's edition, we pay tribute to late founding President Sam Nujoma, who died on 8 February, aged 95. Members of the business fraternity last week paid homage to Nujoma, highlighting his contribution to the Namibian economy. The mining industry, in its tribute to the late statesman, said his life was one of unwavering dedication in a message delivered by the Chamber of Mines of Namibia's first Vice President, George Boshiwe.
The Chamber of Mines of Namibia joins the nation in mourning the passing of our founding father, Dr. Sam Nujoma. His life was a testament of unwavering dedication, resilience, visionary leadership. As the first president of an independent Namibia, Dr. Nujoma's tireless efforts and sacrifices laid the foundation for the independence and development of our beloved nation. Dr. Nujoma's commitment to the liberation struggle and his profound impact on Namibia's journey to independence will forever be etched in our history. His leadership extended beyond the political realm, fostering unity, reconciliations among Namibians. His vision for a strong, united, progressive Namibia continues to inspire us all today. The Chamber of Mines acknowledges Dr. Nujoma's significant contributions to the mining sector, which has been the cornerstone of the Namibian economy. His policies and initiatives have paved the way for sustainable development and growth within the industry, benefiting countless Namibians.
Namibia Chamber of Commerce and Industry Director, Vetumbwavi Mungunda, described late President Sam Nujoma as immortal and said the former president provided much needed support to the business community at a recent memorial held at his residence.
On behalf of the Namibian Business Fraternity and its national representative body, the Namibia Chamber of Commerce and Industry, it is my distinct honor to pay tribute to our dearly beloved leader, the founding father and first president of our country, who passed away on 8 February 2025. This is indeed a sober and sad moment for many Namibians when we have to face the reality of the death of our beloved founding father through the holding of his memorial. Some of us did actually believe that our founding father was immortal. We gather to pay tribute to an iconic leader who struggled for self-determination and who dedicated the entirety of his life to the liberation and achieve an advancement of Namibia and its people. These leaders were at their prime involved in the most important task of a generation, that of fighting for fairness in society and dignity for all. These departing leaders are the connecting rods to the historical misdeeds perpetrated against our forefathers, whilst also providing the bridge to the promise of a better, united, and peaceful future for all. Founding President's legacy is one that will ever be etched in the annals of history, not only for his contributions to the political landscape, but also for his unwavering support of the Namibian business community and his commitment to social progression for all Namibians.
In news making the headlines, Bank of Namibia Skat. Okay.
In 3, 2, 1.
In news making the headlines, Bank of Namibia Governor Johannes Gavagap lauded late statesman Sam Nujoma for the formation of the central bank, following his death on 8 February. Gavagap made the remarks following the monetary policy announcement and used the occasion to pay tribute to Nujoma. According to Gavagap, In 1988, His Excellency Dr. Sam Nujoma, then the president of the SWAPO party, played a pivotal role in securing assistance from Sweden. Nujoma is said to have personally engaged Prime Minister Olof Palme to garner support for the liberation movement in establishing a future central bank for Namibia. GoverHub also highlighted the role former President Hifikepunye Pohamba played in establishing the bank, saying early discussions held laid the foundation for what is today the Bank of Namibia. Alongside His Excellency Pohamba, who served as the Secretary for Finance, Dr. Nujoma met with Mr. Erik Lenmart Carlson, a Swedish banking expert nominated by Prime Minister Palme to explore Namibia's proposed economic framework and the establishment of its central bank, GoverHub said.
Taking flight has never been easier. Paratus is introducing Sky-Fi internet packages with speeds that will have you reaching for your seatbelts, starting from $500 Namibian excluding VAT per month, with speeds reaching up to 10 megabits per second. There's even a prepaid option where you can top up your Sky-Fi internet for just $15 Namibian per gigabyte. No contracts, no fuss. Visit your nearest Paratus branch to find out more, or go to paratus.africa/Namibia to sign up online.
Always prepared, Paratus.
Irongo Red last week said to electrify 1,800 houses in Swakopmund, Henties Bay, and Walfish Bay, as well as Usakos before June 2025, in a bid to pay tribute to the legacy of founding President Sam Nujoma. Irongo Red CEO Emmanuel Hanabeb shared more.
I think it is with deep sadness that we, as a nation and as Irongo Red, mourn the passing of our founding president, and we are happy that we had somebody like that, a person that could, at the age of 30, take up the journey for all of us. And therefore we owe our being and our gratitude to the founding father and those ones that was around him at the time. And in his honor and in his legacy as Irongo Red, within the next 4 months, before end of June, we want to electrify, or we will electrify 1,800 houses in Karibeb, Usakos, Henties Bay, Swakopmund, and Walvis Bay all together. We believe that this is what he would have wanted. He fought so that we could have access to electricity, access to housing, access to education, and we believe that electricity is the greatest enabler, and as the greatest enabler, our efforts in this peri-urban electrification initiative and projects will help to improve the livelihoods for which our president signed up for which he fought for. So with this, we really want to fight on and take on the continue with the legacy that he left for us. And as Irongo Red, we say power to the people and power to our founding president and to his ancestors. I thank you.
Novanam Namibia's founding CEO, Dr. Angel Tordesillas, has credited late President Sam Nujoma with laying the foundation for the birth of Ludritz's fishing sector, saying had it not been for Nujoma, little to nothing might have happened in the sector in the southern harbour town. Tordesillas said that Nujoma had opted that the company invest in Ludritz rather than Walfish Bay, which had then been which at the time was the territory of the South African apartheid regime. Please do take a look at the interview.
Dr. Tordesillas, please tell us about your relationship with the late founding father and former president of Namibia, Dr. Sam Nujoma.
I must say that his time in Namibia, since he came after the exile, had a big impact in my life and in my family life.
Yes.
I have met him before independence when we expressed our desire to set up an industrial activity in the fishing industry. And he said, please wait, because you will be dealing with a regime that is not altogether the correct one. Just wait. So elections took place a couple of years later, and on the 11th of November 1989, when the election results came out and SWAPO was the overall winner, in about 2 hours, I came to see him again. And he says, you can come to Namibia, but it must be Ludwig. At the time, it was like if a meteorite has fallen on my lap. Because in Ludwig there were no infrastructure, there was no skills. But that was the desire. I mean, Walvis Bay remained part of South Africa for another 4 years. So we decided to take the bull by the horns, and we had to bring bricklayers, and we created, hundreds of jobs. Now it is about 2,000 people they are employed by the company. And he had the persuasive and the conviction of his ideas. In Walvis Bay, you will be dealing also with an authority that doesn't belong there.
Yes.
And we had to bring, as I said, bricklayers, scientists, professionals, even to train the workers. We sent people to Spain during the construction so that they will be trained in a factory to see how a fishing factory works, how the logics it is.
Yes.
And then we bought land in the month of independence, which was in March 1990. And then a year later, we started operations in May 1981. But the people had been trained, and we didn't look back since.
Wow.
Eventually, the Walvis Bay was reintegrated. One of the reasons why Walvis Bay was reintegrated was that South Africa also saw that, Walvis Bay is not exclusive, because in Walvis Bay, South Africa uplifted the railway line to make the place unsuitable for anything. But when they saw that, there were international trade, goods were leaving the town, trained people, the new government provided electricity, because we had to run the factory with an electrical generator that we put up for him.
Yes.
But all these things, nothing that is good is worth having, in my opinion. And then, since then, I have been very close to him. I traveled overseas with him. I even went on a couple of occasions to the United Nations as part of his team. And it was odd, that someone from another country, he was his ally, his advisor. So I must say that we had a close and a very productive relationship. And it wasn't easy, because he couldn't be a softie, and we learned a lot from each other. When Mandela was liberated, which was the main reason why the reintegration of Walvis Bay took place, when Mandela was liberated, that there was riots in Cape Town where we live, and he says, please, you must come here with your family. Please don't get any risk. And it is something to be appreciated. That he was concerned. And,
yes.
And then many facets about training and about schooling. He created a national endowment fund for the creation, for mathematics, science, and technology, to establish, a core of Namibians that they never had access to that type of education, sure. Engineering, architects, various
fields,
various skills, various professions.
Yes.
They were not available, and we created the fund. So we just together we just launched some fundraising campaign, and we just helped to create more than 100 professionals. As I said, I mean, the veterinary scientists, people in the ground.
Yes.
And that was something that it was due to him, because he believed in this and he couldn't take no for an answer.
Wow.
And it was a pleasure to work with him. And we were the only endowment fund that lived with its own resources. I mean, we even ended up, I mean, in all these years, every year we had an intake of 10 or 12
Yes.
from the various regions of the country. And it was also him, I mean, that he wanted not to depend on so-called white professionals. I mean, we had to create, he wanted to have Namibians holding this because the degrees for the black people, for the non-whites, they were mostly in religions and teachers, but not for higher education, for professions that require high skill.
Wow.
So this thing impacted in my life a lot.
Yes.
And I must tell you that it was a blessing. It was a luck of the draw to have met and to enjoy his friendship with the respect that, I mean, with the difference. I mean, he was the boss and I was just a servant, but we were good friends. We traveled overseas more than one occasion.
Yes.
And he appreciated what we did. And Walvis Bay was eventually reintegrated. And many people, they didn't have to go through the pain of going to Lewis, but I mean, we just did something that was, we were able to do it, and our contribution has been useful.
Yes.
Now I come from his resident, from his family, his children.
Yes.
And they remember, and some of the members of the old school of the first and second government. So Sam Nujoma impacted my life, my family life, the people around us, and tough as it was, he was a human being too. That is what I can say.
Yes. Doctor, there must have been many fond memories.
Completely so.
Which one is very close to you? Which one is dear to you?
I think that the most important thing is that small things, but they were very impacting. To eat Namibian food and to pick it with the fingers, not with the knife. I mean, that was something that, and also his interest in nature, in just uplifting the life of his countrymen. And I was the first consul of Spain here, and he was delighted, I mean, to have a diplomatic representation in Lüderitz, of all places.
Wow. So
now, as we talk now, we employ in Lüderitz 2,000 people. It's eventually, you know, the oil and gas and the green hydrogen and the Kel Blue, they will live. But for the time being, I mean, we are the largest employer, and it is something very good. I mean, Lüderitz experienced the third Renaissance.
Yes.
The first Renaissance was when the first diamond was discovered in 1808, 1908, no, 1808.
1908.
But then the second Renaissance, the first diamond was discovered in Kolmaskop.
Yes.
It was 1908.
1908, yeah.
1908. And then the second Renaissance was when Nujoma persuaded us to put up an industrial complex providing jobs, and the jobs create trade and people, the schools were reinforced, etc.
Yes.
And the third Renaissance is now that, I mean, Ludwig is becoming a kind of an epicenter of growth if everything goes according to plan. But
Yes.
it looks positive, and I wish that everyone there is successful, because that will involve, that will represent better education, the university as well, and there was the creation of the Ludwig waterfront.
Yes.
Various sites were, and
Yes.
I was given the honor of being the chairman of the Ludwig waterfront, which has been the only waterfront that sort of lived with its own means. I mean,
Yes.
the others didn't really take off properly.
Yes.
And now we hope to continue with the new president that is forthcoming, and a contribution of this. I have difficulty in proving that I am not. I am a Spaniard. People think that I am Namibian. You do things by the instinct, by the heart.
Yes.
But if you use too much your heart, you can end up with a heart attack too.
Yes, Doctor. Doctor, what lessons do you take away from your friendship and the life of Sam Nujoma?
To me, he's an example to follow. He's a man that didn't give up, and that he was tough, but he was human.
Yes.
That was very important, and he valued nature very much. I mean, out of a dry country, in future generations, elements of progress will emanate, but all come from Sam Nujoma. That is what I value more. And he was a good conversationalist. I mean, he liked fishing, even with his own rod. He liked to eat fish.
Wow.
The right portions of the fish, and he was a good human being. To me, that is the most important one of the leaders that people can admire, and the history books will judge him very highly. The history must be seen in perspective.
Yes.
When time happens. But to me, the facet of his personality is that he's a strong character, that he never gave up.
Sure. Thank you so much, Doctor.
Well, I don't know, as it comes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Doctor.
In this week's chart of the week, Donald Trump's administration is executing a mass deportation of over 1.4 million non-citizens, with just over 40,000 Africans on the United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement list of non-detained foreigners. 19 Namibians were on the list. The scatter plot displays the number of deportable individuals from Africa which the US has recognized along with their respective populations to assess the relative presence of these citizens. The plot has been set on a logarithmic scale for easier interpretation to account for significant population disparities. Generally, countries with low democracy index scores and high political instability see relatively more individuals on a per capita basis on the list. Countries below the logarithmic curve see a higher rate of per capita individuals on the list, while countries above the logarithmic curve see a lower rate of per capita individuals on the list. Countries like Mauritania and Cape Verde saw relatively high rates, with about 1 for every 1,700 and 1,350 citizens on the list, respectively. Meanwhile, Madagascar, with a population of around 32 million, saw only 5 citizens on the list, translating to 1 in every 6.5 million citizens. The Namibian rate translated to 1 in every 160,000 citizens.
Slow internet should be a headache of the past, yet many Namibians have connections that just aren't fast. We have a solution that might set you free. It's called Mobile LTE, and it comes with real speed. You'll enjoy up to 50 megabytes per second from just $300 Namibian a month, and free internet browsing after midnight till 6. When it comes to staying connected, this is it. Visit paratus.africa/Namibia or our branches nationwide and experience the thrill of better internet with Paratus by your side.
Always prepared.
Thank you for joining us on this week's edition of the Business 7 Show. Hope to see you again next week. Good night.